I do believe that every vote counts. I do not believe that one vote can change anything. That sounds like a contradiction, but it is not. In order to change things, you need hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of votes working in concert to bring about the end of incompetency or fascism or psychoses or, whatever. Trump happens to have a collection of all of that centered in his fucked up little brain. But the piece written by David Lenhart examined what we can expect if the Republicans maintain control or expand the control that they have over the federal government with Trump in the White House. Every single effort at voter suppression that these filthy Republican Christians can make either has been made or is being made. Republicans know, they know this because it's a matter of historical fact, that the vast majority of Americans do not like their policies, do not like this conservative bullshit that seems to want to strip people of everything, including their dignity, their sense of self, and turn us working class people into drones or automatons, and save for the wealthy, the elite, so to speak, all the benefits that we used to think were part of America, an American's birthright. Not to say that the millionaires and billionaires work hard to get what they've gotten. They don't. They steal hard. They lie hard. They cheat hard. And they hide behind their religious bullshit. We're at a point right now in this country where if we don't remove the Christian fascist power bloc that exists in the legislative branch, there's no point in continuing. Now, I've said before that my staying as a podcaster will be determined to a large degree by what happens on Election Day, November 6th. And not that anybody gives a shit what I may or may not decide. I'm just saying, I certainly understand my place in the pecking order. It's non-existent. But I'm just saying, it would be a shock to me if Republicans continue to maintain, the Christians continue to maintain their control, or if they expand their control over the Trump government. If that happens, I don't see any way short of violent, insane, bloody, incredibly destructive revolution in this country. And even that, I have my doubts, would occur because most Americans are just not the pick up a gun and overthrow the government type. I mean, we did that twice. The first time it worked. The second time, the people who picked up the guns to overthrow the government had the shit kicked out of them, along with an awful lot of innocent people. So as far as bloody revolution, I just don't think Americans have it in us to do that. But I'm not saying people in this country are cowards. If this country were invaded, I think most Americans would fight, would resist, just like the Vietnamese resisted us until they kicked our ass severely enough, even though the losses they took were 20, 30 to 1. But they persevered, and they kicked the great, mighty American military, kicked its ass right out of its country. The Koreans, the North Koreans, 70 years ago, essentially did the same thing, even though their losses were about 20 to 1 or 30 to 1, same as Vietnamese. But they managed to stop the United States at a stalemate. If this country were invaded, I think we would resist the same way Vietnamese people, Philippine people, Central American people. I mean, pick a fucking country. There's so many that we have invaded or violated or tried to overthrow or destabilized or fucked up their government, duly elected governments like, let me think of one. I know, Iran. I think the American people would resist an invader, like most populations would. But what do you do when the invader is homegrown? It's something that nested here, some horrible thing that had been living inside America, like a cluster of cancer cells, like a disease, like Trump. And all of a sudden, this disease, this Trump disease, starts to metastasize and spread like it is now, like it has been doing for the past almost 2 years. You reach a point where the disease has spread so far through, if you will, the body politic, that the only out is death. Now, I realize I can be a screaming, crazy son of a bitch on this podcast, but and I say stuff that is really outrageous, although I don't think I've ever said anything that's a lie. My fear is that the Republicans are going to maintain and expand their hold on the government, the Christian fascists that now own the Republican Party. The Republican Party is owned by two factions. The Christian fascists, they're the biggest ones. And I'm not just talking about these fucked up ministers who get on television and scream and yell and shit and shout. I'm talking about the militant types, the white supremacists. They all believe in their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. You're not going to find Jews. You're not going to find Buddhists. You're not going to find Muslims. You're not going to find those people in this Christian fascist movement that is devouring the United States. But I will tell you, they will not be satisfied until they have all avenues of power blocked with their Christian fascist lies and deceptions. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.